So I finally saw the movie Weapons. I obviously haven't been doing a lot of movie reviews because I've been in Comic Con prep a lot. Can I? Yeah, you know. Oh, okay. Who doesn't want like a robo arm cannon, right? You know. So anyway, move this over there. So I finally saw Weapons, and I enjoyed it, but probably not as much as I guess some other people enjoyed it. Um, while I was watching it, I like kind of like was looking stuff up about it and realized okay, it's by the director, the guy who did Barbarian, which is also like another movie that like I ended up enjoying Barbarian more than I thought I would because obviously that movie was sold as like like a movie of like, oh, air double book Airbnb thing, things go wrong, and you're assuming it's freaking the Skarsgård kind of thing, and then it kind of goes like over there, you know. And that's what made me enjoy the movie because it was kind of in a sense the misdirection of it. Whereas in um, this one, you just see a bunch of fucking kids just fucking T-posing and running, and you're like, you're like evil children. And then I think what it is that then it got like really overhyped from people who like God, I'm gonna sound like such a snob, but it got overhyped by people who like don't watch a lot of horror films, and then they go like, "This one's really good." No, you don't. Like it's like that type of person, not just like the people who don't watch horror films a lot, but like the people who like don't watch a lot of movies in general, and then like a pretty decent good. I just can't stop shedding this fucking medication. Anyway, um people who don't watch that much like many movies and then when they do watch a movie tends to be a good one because they'll there's like positive reviews or whatever about it, so they watch it and then they kind of just like don't shut the fuck up about it. Like they don't know how to be like normal and being like, hey, I saw this movie, it was pretty good, and like you should go see it. They're like the type of people, they're like, you haven't watched this thing, why haven't you watched this thing? I watched this thing, you have to watch this thing. If you don't watch the same media as me, I hate you. And it's like, oh my god. Like I feel like in a sense the movie's downfall. And again, I was gonna see this movie anyway because I'd seen the trailer some time ago and I was like, cool, creepy kids horror movie. All right, put it on the list. But I feel like a downfall in a sense of this movie and a lot of movies, in similar veins of this, even to the degree of even something like Hereditary or even Midsummer, like those type of movies, is like when again, I know I'm gonna sound really snobbish, but when like the masses see it and they go like, oh, and they do that whole thing of like, I like this horror. It's not like other horror movies, so I don't count. Like they one don't count as a horror film all of a sudden, and then two, they're like. Every horror film should be like this, and you're like, whoa. You gotta understand, it's like horror is like the metal genre where there are so many subgenres. You know what I mean? Because you could be like, oh yeah, that movie's horror. You could be like, that band is metal. But then you've got people who are like, nah, not a symphonic black and death metal, excuse me. Or you're like that person be like, that is and it is folk horror with a little bit of a little bit of a nod to giallo, if you understand. It has the same type of person, which is funny because I'm into both things and I just like I hate all of you. But then once again, same thing with like the metal genre. When you have people who like finally view something that they like, they're like, oh, I like this, but then they want to like discredit away from the thing itself. Anyway, I'm not even talking about the movie right now. I'm just talking about how annoyed I am by people. So, I guess the movie's been out for like well over a month, but I guess one, two, three spoilers. So, like I said, I enjoyed this movie, and it was like it was kind of fun. I like that it was non-linear like storytelling. I did like that. Because it made it a little bit more interesting. Oh my god, my allergies. It made it a little bit more interesting. I feel like if it was told linear, one like information wouldn't be, I guess, wouldn't be as interesting because of it being non-linear via every character type of thing. I think also I don't know. I don't want to say like it'd be too like predictable, but like I don't know. I had an inkling pretty much like within probably the first 10 minutes of the movie starting, being like, oh, I have a feeling like what caused the children, you know? I had a feeling. Again, it's because I watched too many of these movies, so it's not like oh, I knew, like, I say this a lot. If I know what the ending is, it doesn't mean it's bad. It's really, it's the whole, like, it's the journey the way there. And if the journey to that ending is interesting, fine. Which I did. Like, I gave this, like, 3.5 stars out of 5 stars, which is usually kind of, like, above mid for me, and the reason why, like, I didn't give it like 4 stars or whatever. Like, other people I know, they kind of gave it 4, some gave 5, some gave it 2, you know the reason why I didn't give it more was because it was just kind of like, one, it's like that, it's the story of, like, something happens, it's something happens, it's witches. Like, what I mean? It's always like, something happened, witches. And again, it made me kind of go back to thinking about Hereditary, only because it was just like, there's this thing that's happening, witches. It's a cult, it's witches, it comes back. I mean, it's nowhere near like Hereditary. That was great. I was just like, where's this go? Oh, we're doing this, fuck it, let's keep going, let's keep going, let's keep going, let's keep going. Yeah, 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 yeah. That movie, I was just like, let's keep it rolling, let's keep it, let's make it, let's go fucking crazy, let's fucking go, whereas this one, like, I feel like it was starting to go crazy, especially towards the end, when, like, finally, when the kids, like, ravaged Dawn, like that aunt and all that stuff, and I was like, thank you, movie. I mean, again, it's the goriness, of course I would enjoy it, but it was also like that, like, I don't know, just like the way how you would expect it. I guess you probably wouldn't want to put a lot of children in gory situations in this day and age, with you know the things we've seen and all that stuff. Oh my god, my brain just stopped. So, like I said, the predictability of it was, everyone in that woman's class, like everyone, every child in the class, they didn't show up because they all, like, ran away and all that stuff, except for the one kid. And of course, everyone's like, well, there's something wrong with the teacher. And because, you in the movie, you follow her, and immediately I was like, oh, it's got to be something with that kid. I was like, there's got to be something with it. It's not the teacher. It's got to be something with that kid. And just like how quiet that kid was, I was like, oh, in my head, I was like, that kid probably did something. Again, we're in a horror film. It could be anything. It's obviously most likely a supernatural thing, because you just got these kids fucking T-posing and running. It's just really fucking weird. So in my head, I was like, oh, that kid probably did some shit. And then you later found out, that the aunt was kind of like, all right, grab something from each kid, she sucked the life force out of them. So it's like, all right, yeah, well, fucking, And I love how it's like, the aunt is obviously dying for whatever reasons, and she probably, like, delved into, like, some black magic, dark magic type of shit. Was just like, yeah, if I just, like, you know, take all these, people's life force and all that, I'll stay alive. And I'm just like, I don't know, lady, you weren't looking pretty alive anyway. That wig, the freaking like the turf mini bangs that she had going on there. First of all, girl, and then like, also, like, the makeup itself is so insane. Like, I love it. Like, that character I love because of just the insanity of her look. Because they're like, oh my god, it's like a clown woman. But at the same time, it's like, oh, I know exactly what that feels like as someone who tends to wear literal clown makeup. I'm like, oh, is that me? I even made a joke while watching the movie. I think I put on my Instagram story saying, like, how I probably look to people when I tell them I do wigs and makeup. And I always look out whenever I'm talking to people, like, oh yeah, I can style wigs and I do makeup, and I'm either looking like I just, crawled out of a hole, or I'm in, like, a weird, like, niche, like, costume, and you can't tell if that's supposed to be how I normally look, or, I mean, it's like, it's like, oh, okay, so I kind of look like that woman. I'll be like, oh, someone's like, oh, wigs and makeup. Okay, it's I feel like it's like with season 7, when, when Trixie Mattel was like, oh yeah, I'm a hair and makeup artist, and all looked at her like, and it feels the same way, where they're like, oh, no, you're not, but then later on you're like, oh wait, yes, you are. Anyway, just like, again, her makeup, how, like, just gloopy that foundation look, like just how it was just like very kind of stuff, that like feathered out like lipstick, because she's like, ah! Like all that shit. The fact, all the teeth they made her, where she's like more gums and like the short teeth. Oh man, I knew someone who had like kind of short teeth. It was very weird because when she would smile, it was like gums, and then it's like a little line of teeth. It's like when you were learning how to draw and you trying to draw teeth, and you either do like full like big old like woodchuck horse teeth, or you like kind of draw like the smallest shit, and that's what it like. Yeah, the dental thing they did, that was insane. And again, like the Tammy Faye Baker, fucking eye makeup, and just like that, just the look of her. I loved that character. I love that, like, I looked up the actress, and I've seen her in a bunch of shit. I had no idea that was her. Like, and I was just like, that's awesome. That she just like, cool, I got booked for this, and then she's like looking insane, which I love. I also love that they did hire an older actress. Like, it would have annoyed me if I looked it up and it was like a young, like 25-year-old. You know what I mean? Even if someone was like 40, I would think would be too young to play that character. I'm glad they like casted an actress who was like around like older woman, like older auntie kind of age, you know, and like so they didn't have to like do actual aging makeup. They just were like, here you go, spackle, so yeah, that part I like. But yeah, like I said, the non-linear, going back to the non-linear part, it was very interesting because you would see the part where like the main character teacher woman, she's at the bar, then like the cop guy comes in, she turns around, she's like, oh hey, he's like, can I get a hug? She's like, yeah, of course. But then from his perspective, he walks in the bar and she like jumps off the stool and she's like, hey, and he's like, can I get a hug? She's like, of course. And it was like, oh, okay. It was like very interesting seeing like, from the different characters' perspective on how just like slight little changes and all that stuff. Oh my god, the makeup they did for what's his name, Benedict Wong, when he was like going all and the eyes were bugging out and all that stuff. That shit was crazy. Oh my god. It was just like, can I get water? Yeah, in a bowl? What? She's like, oh, that's just a thing I have. I really, like, she asked for a bowl of water because it was for her spell, but I actually was really hoping, like, she just, like, actually drank water like that instead of that being part of, like, her spell thing. Because it's like, why not? Bitch, you look crazy like this. You might, might as well. But, she had to do her whole, like, ooh, this is my, thing. I put the blood on your hair, snap. It's like, okay, whoa, whoa, whoa. I love that the little boy like figured that out. And he's like, all right, let me just pull this wig hair off and do the same thing. And she's like, God, imagine being someone like especially if you are the druggy guy and you're like, all right, I just gotta like make some scratch, right? It sucks. Addiction is terrible, all that stuff. He's just trying to, like exist. And then he was just like, oh, okay, what's in the basement? And it's just a bunch of kids just standing in the basement. It's like, that is creepy. Like I always say, children in horror films, they're like the scariest shit, and you gotta avoid it, or they are gonna be what is your demise. Um, it was just also like the movie was also like really sad because then it's like because that aunt kept like that kid's parents in such like a catatonic state, and I mean even the kids in the basement as well, that he ended up having to like be his parents' parent, which was also like just really sad. He just get all that Campbell's soup and just like feed them soup all dribbly and stuff, and then doing the same thing with the kids, and it was just like, oh, that part was very depressing. But also at the same time, like that's kind of what I really liked about the movie was just how like this kid just like he got picked on a lot, but then he ended up, like, having to, like, feed his bully and take care of his bully, in a sense. Bitch, if that was me, no. No. I'd probably feed the other kids in my class, definitely not the bully. Mm-mm. You can't make me do that, you know. You like again feeding his parents, and then also seeing how like, you know, prior to that, it's like the parents are like, "Hey, pick you up from school. How was school?" Okay, they understand the kid's a little weird, but like kids are always weird, you know. But the parents, like, when the parents weren't under the spell, they were, you know, they they were doing their best, you know. They engaged with their child, they spoke to their child, you know. They weren't mean to their child. They were being parents. They weren't doing the whole like we're your best friend kind of parents. They also weren't like get the fuck. They were okay. They were decent, you know. And then like for something like that, that's obviously very like comforting and being like, oh, okay, that's nice of them. And then like the next day, like when the parents are in the catatonic state, and then the kid was just like, kind of like, where's my dad to pick me up? And then he just like walks home, and it's like, oh, I was like, that shit was just like, oh, I was like, that's just sad. That just sucks, you know, especially like wherever PA suburbia that is. Like, I don't know how long that walk. I mean, where I am, like schools are just like a 10-15 minute walk from, you know, I mean, from where I live there's several schools that are about, like I said, like a 20-minute walk at max, you know what I mean. Whereas like, I don't know, some of these like suburban places, it's like you gotta go 40 minutes or whatever, you know, where it's like, I don't know. I live next to a highway, so so you know what I mean. Like I don't live in that type of suburbia where it's just like houses like that fucking shit where it's just like just so uncomfortable for me to look at, like those suburban, you know, plans where it's just like I'm like, is there like a corner store somewhere? You know, I got like gas stations, all you know what I mean? Like you know what I'm saying? Where it's just houses, no corner stores, no fucking gas stations, no like small bit. Like it's just like that shit was like, ugh, that shit makes me uncomfortable. I think I remember I was like in some part of like LA, and it was just houses, and I was like, what do you do? What do you do here? I don't know. It was just, I don't know. My life is different anyway. So, like I said, I the part of me that wished like the movie was a little bit better was like, I don't know. I feel like I guess the craziness of that aunt, like how she just kind of like showed up in people's visions and stuff like that. I kind of wish like a little bit more of that happened. I did like that the movie didn't do random jump scares, like when like the main character woman would look out like the peephole and she would just like look and all that stuff. I was like waiting for it. I was like, oh, she's gonna turn and be like, hey dude, you forgot your keys, you know. I like that they didn't do jump scares, although because you're so primed to think jump scares are gonna happen, you're still kind of like what's happening down the road, you know, type of thing. So I did enjoy that, but I feel like yeah, a little bit more of the like I don't know, a little bit more of the crazy aunt shit going on. I don't know, like the creepy child narrator thing kind of was working, um, but it also kind of made me go like, well, who the fuck is this kid? You know what I mean? Like, is she part of the class? No, just some fucking kid. This is based on a true story. This happened and all that stuff. I wasn't in the fucking class, but I'm telling you the story because creepy child voice in a horror film. You know, like that's okay. I don't know. Like I heard that they're gonna do a prequel to this. No, don't fucking do that. And even if you're gonna do something like that, like just do like a 30-minute short, you know what I mean? Like on the DVD. Do you guys remember back in the day when they would do that? They would do like a 7-minute or 24-minute like short thing just to like add like extra context to whatever. Like The Ring did that where they had that like 20-minute thing of like this like teenage boy that was also like in that girl's class, and he found the tape, and it was just like kind of like okay, cool, whatever, you know. And then they decided to turn that into another movie. God fucking damn it. But you know like those DVD extras, you remember that? You know, some of us still buy those things. Maybe have that, you know, like put it out on the Blu-ray, and then like I don't know, months later then put it out on YouTube or something, you know what I'm saying? Like do something. Like, you don't need to do another full fuck off movie to be like, oh, here's the prequel. What's the prequel? Or we're just probably just following the aunt, right? We're just probably following the aunt and her being diagnosed with old or something, and then like her like opening a book, you know, maybe scanning some microfiche or some shit. I don't know. There's something about it. Like I said, it was interesting, but I feel like there should be more to it. And then I feel like if they're gonna do like a prequel or something on it, then I feel like it's gonna kind of like make it fall like short. I don't know. Anyway, I'm done talking about this. My allergies are fucking. Yeah, it's that time of the year, the changing of the seasons. So now I'm all gross as always. Anyway, I got Comic Con in like a few weeks, and then you get to see Paul dress as a teenage robot because we are totally, you know, close to your teenage years and not a midlife crisis. Anyway, um, it's weird. It smells like him. I don't know. Weapons, yay! I'm that old lady, I guess.